We built a house on shaky ground, still swore we never fall. I gave you love without a count, but you were busy giving it to all. Midnight lies behind your smile, I hear the truth in silent foams. Your perfume ain't just mine a while, but I still wait here all alone. They say love should set you free, but I'm chained to what we used to be. Twine hearts, broken vows, you keep leaving, I don't know how to walk away when you come back around. Every kiss feels like a wound somehow. Still I stay, though it all feels wrong. Cheating never stops, but I hold on to a dream that's faded, worn and gone. But these hearts are twined too long. You hold me like a secret kept, one hand warm, the other cold. I know the names you won't accept, but your stories always have control. I trace the scars you left behind like they're pages in our book. I wanna leave, but love rewinds and drags me back with just one look. The mirror shows a ghost of me, still wearing what will never be. Twine hearts, broken vows, you keep leaving, I don't know how to walk away when you come back around. Every kiss feels like a wound somehow. Still I stay, though it all feels wrong. Cheating never stops, but I hold on to a dream that's faded, worn and gone. But these hearts are twined too long. I scream in silence, you smile in sin. Tell me, when did we forget who we've been? If love is war, then I've lost this fight, but I'm still here every single night. Wild hearts, broken vows, I should leave but don't know how. Even pain becomes a sacred sound when the past won't let you turn around. Still I stay, though it all feels wrong. She never stops, but I hold on like a fool to a sad love song. These hearts, yeah, these hearts are twined too long.
All right, all right, all right. How's everybody doing? Nice to see everybody again. I thought I'd go ahead and get this one out of the way. Um, domestic violence is something that is not a light topic. So if you've ever been affected by this, I do understand that it can be a little much. Please, please don't. What I'm trying to say, it's okay if you don't stay in it, if you don't stay in the chat because it gets too triggering for you. But a lot of times we have to work through these things to get to the other side. And I know it's tough. I know it really is. And, when it, and I know it also, it's not easy to talk about. It's not an easy topic to talk about because it can be anything from the earliest starts of where it begins, such as, it starts out by multiple things. It could be, just gradual making fun of people. It can be, always joking about some particular part of the other person. And let's not get it misconstrued where just one side, or it can also be two sides. It could be the female abusing the male, and it also can be the female the male abusing the female. um so what I'm talking about here is how it's hidden in a lot of families. You know what I mean? How it's hidden. And it's okay, Leslie. It's all right. um I'm not going to show anything. I'm just going to talk about it. So if that makes any difference with you, Leslie, I hope that you stay. No CCR music. Okay. No, I'm actually going to show another video that is totally different, because it offers some hope for people, you know, because as we know, it's not an easy topic. And there's a lot of individuals that deal with this on a silent basis. And, they try to get help, but they just don't know where. They don't know how. They don't know where to turn, where to look, how to get the help that they need. And oftentimes you got to jump through a lot of hoops in order for people to really understand what's going on. Because most of the time, people don't really understand that abuse can happen emotionally. They really don't. They really don't. They believe that, it just two people arguing, it got out of hand, and, you need to work it out. And oftentimes it's not that easy. It's not that easy to do. I'm trying to figure out how to do this without taking up the whole screen. Let me see. I'll put it right above that. That way y'all can see it. I'll put myself a little further down or up. That way, if I get comments, I'll be out of the way. So, Texas says, I got into the middle of one just to stop it before it got worse. I didn't even know the people. Yeah, there's a lot of things that people are not aware of when it comes to abuse or domestic violence. So here are some of the symptoms, causes, and the effects, okay? So it starts out, it says, all too frequently, the media bombards us with news about a high profile domestic violence case where a man or woman is suspected of murdering their wife or husband with or without a previous history of domestic abuse. Violence, how can a person turn from loving and living with a person to beating them up or murdering them? What kind of a person resorts to domestic violence against their spouse or domestic intimate partner? What kind of person thinks it's okay to continually humiliate or talk down to their intimate partner? What kind of person has sex with their partner without the person's consent and desire to participate? Like I said, this is a tough topic. It's a tough topic, but it needs to be talked about because there's a lot of people that are being murdered. And like this article states, many times that's what you hear. Well, we thought they were a loving couple, or we thought that everything was okay. You know, we thought that it was okay. And when it's all said and done, it wasn't okay. They weren't in a good state of mind. They weren't in a good place. You know what I mean? It also says a common pattern of domestic abuse is the perpetrator alternates between violent, abusive behavior and apologetic behavior with apparently heartfelt promises to change. The abuser may be very pleasant most of the time. Therein lies the perpetual appeal of the abusing partner and why many people are unable to leave the abusive relationship. Domestic abuse is often one of the following: child abuse, abuse of a spouse or domestic intimate partner, or elder abuse. And the elderly can be abused as well. And that's something that is often never talked about, is the abuse of the elderly. You know, I've, I've seen people being taken care of, not personally, but I've known of elderly people that have been pinched, had their hair pulled or something if they try to speak out. And like I said, these type of things don't get reported a lot of times because most of the time people don't believe you. Or if they do, they come back at you with, well, we need more proof. We can't just go on your word. And you could have called the cops, or your neighbors could have called the cops. And, most of the time, if there's not visible bruises, then, you know, they either ask one of you to leave or they take one of you or both of you. I've seen where both have been taken before. It says in this article, we discussed domestic abuse between spouses and intimate partners, the types of domestic abuse, signs and symptoms, causes, and effects. Domestic violence and abuse are common. The first step in ending misery is recognition that the situation is abusive. Then you can seek help. See the related help guide article, Domestic Violence and Abuse Help, Treatment, Intervention, and Prevention. So if you know anybody that's caught in this cycle, I hope that you are given the opportunity to assist them. And I understand that, Leslie. I understand a lot of it was a very one-sided thing and it was never right. It was never right. Because they always assumed that the female was the problem. And that's not right. That's not okay. A lot of this domestic stuff happens when the individual that's abusing the other person either is under the influence or they've been caught doing something that they have to pay consequences for. And what they do, they sit there and take it out on the person that is trying to hold them accountable. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. So, let me continue on here. What is the definition of domestic abuse between intimate partners? Domestic abuse between spouses or intimate partners is when one person in a marital or intimate relationship tries to control the other person. The perpetrator uses fear and intimidation and may threaten to use or may actually use physical violence. Domestic abuse that includes physical violence is called domestic violence. The victim of domestic violence or abuse may be a man or a woman. Domestic abuse occurs in traditional heterosexual marriages, as well as in same-sex partnerships. The abuse may occur during a relationship while the couple is breaking up or after the relationship has ended. And this is a very volatile time for a lot of people. As we've seen in some of these cases, it's not during the relationship that it gets abusive, it's after the relationship is ending. And at that time, it's very volatile. Aquarius, would you like to come up here and read for me? Let me know. The victim, of domestic abuse or domestic violence may be a man. I already read that. Always do that. Domestic abuse often escalates from threats and verbal abuse to physical violence. Domestic violence may even end up in murder. The key elements of domestic abuse are intimidation, humiliating the other person, physical injury. Domestic abuse is not a result of losing control. Domestic abuse is intentionally trying to control another person. So let's think about that a minute, okay? Domestic abuse, a lot of times is people say, well, they want power and control. And I know I've even said it. But this states it's not a result of losing control. It's intentionally trying to control another person. The abuser is purposely using verbal, nonverbal, or physical means to gain control over the other person. In some cultures, control of a woman by men is accepted as a norm. This article speaks from the orientation that control of an intimate partner is domestic abuse within a culture where such control is not the norm. Today, we may see many cultures moving from the subordination of women to increased equality of women within relationships. And I know we're going to be focusing on women a little bit, but this goes both ways. This really does. What are the types of domestic abuse? The types of domestic abuse are physical abuse, domestic violence, verbal or nonverbal abuse, psychological abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, playing those mind games with you, calling you names, and then, when you get upset, "Oh, I was just joking, baby. I didn't really mean it," but they really did, you know? And anytime that somebody does that to you, or they start gaslighting you, blaming you for something that's happening to them, it's not okay. Love doesn't hurt. And sarcasm is just anger wrapped around humor. It's an easier way to say what you want to say and blame it on a joke, and it's not okay. That's why a lot of times when people are like, "Oh, you can't take a joke," that wasn't joking. You were trying to be hurtful. The types of domestic abuse are physical abuse, and I said that already. Man, get it together, 12. Sexual abuse, stalking or cyber stalking, economic abuse or financial abuse, spiritual abuse. The divisions between these type of domestic abuse are somewhat fluid, but there is a strong differentiation between the various forms of physical abuse and the various types of verbal or nonverbal abuse. What is physical abuse of a spouse or intimate partner? Physical abuse is the use of physical force against another person in a way that ends up injuring the person or put the person at risk of being injured. Physical abuse ranges from physical restraint to murder. When someone talks of domestic violence, they're often referring to physical abuse of a spouse or intimate partner. So if you've ever known anybody who has been physically abused by their partner, you understand what I'm talking about. It's not just verbal, it's not nonverbal. It's actually putting your hand on somebody and hurting them. Physical abuse includes pushing, throwing, kicking, slapping, grabbing, hitting, punching, beating, tripping, battering, bruising, choking, shaking, pinching, biting, holding, restraining, confinement, breaking bones, assault with a weapon such as a knife or a gun, burning, or murder. And one of the high profile cases that is going on right now is of course the Diddy trial. And Diddy is in a trial because he's been suspected of abusing mental, physical, and sexually abusing mental or many people, especially his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. And some of the things that I've heard about it are very disgusting. You asked me if I've ever been in a domestic violence situation. No, I haven't. The worst I think that's ever happened to me is I've been slapped by one of my girlfriends. Um, what else? I've been abused, as a kid by, my parent, but never domestic violence. What is emotional abuse or verbal abuse of a spouse or intimate partner? Mental, psychological, or emotional abuse can be verbal or nonverbal. Verbal or nonverbal abuse of a spouse or intimate partner consists of more subtle actions or behaviors than physical abuse. While physical abuse might seem worse, the scars of verbal and emotional abuse are deep. Studies show that verbal or nonverbal abuse can be much more emotionally damaging than physical abuse. Of course, because you ruminate it in your brain and you hear it over and over and over and over. Yes, he was. As far as his criminal record shows, he was arrested for domestic violence. Um, so it says verbal or nonverbal abuse of a spouse or intimate partner may include threatening or intimidating to gain compliance. And threatening can be as subtle as I'm talking right now, but you know that that kind of tone with your partner is totally different. And it means something different, rather, no matter how calm they say it. Destruction of the victim's personal property and possession or threat to do so. I've seen people break all kinds of stuff and then go right out and rebuy everything that they broke, or try to buy something else and say, well, here you go, I brought you this or I brought you that, will you forgive me? Violence to an object such as a wall or a piece of furniture or a pet in the presence of the intended victim as a way of instilling fear of further violence. We hear about that all the time. Doors being torn off hinges, holes being punched in the walls, you know, furniture being broken, yelling or screaming, name calling, constant harassment. I've been employed with people where there's been boyfriends, there's been husbands, there's been ex husband, and the woman has been at work and they've had some kind of disagreement about a child custody thing. And this person constantly harasses this individual at work over and over and over. They're calling, they're texting, they're showing up, all this stuff. And it's just pathetic. You're just like, come on, bro. Let her work. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you wouldn't be doing this to another man, I'm sure. But that is to show dominance and control. Embarrassing, making fun of, or mocking the victim, either alone, within the household, in public, or in front of family or friends. Criticizing or diminishing the victim's accomplishments or goals. Not trusting the victim's decision making. Telling the victim that they're worthless on their own without the abuser. Excessive possessiveness. Isolation from friends and families. So if you have a daughter, a granddaughter, a niece, nephew, and they get with a significant other, and all of a sudden they stop coming around, and you ask them, hey, why don't you come to the family dinner? Why don't you come hang out with us? Whatever. Well, I'll get with so and so. And they get with and so never wants to come to hang out. So and so is always wanting to isolate himself or herself from the family. That should be a little bit of a red flag. Let's see. Excessive checking up on the victim to make sure they're at home or where they said they should be. Well, technology has made this a little easier for people. Understand that, when the kids are young or younger, or even if you have a relationship where the individual is in a high risk city or profession or something, it's always good to know where your loved one is. And there's countless trackers, Life 360, all these other things that you can put on your phone. And as long as you're not using it in a harmful way, I really don't see anything wrong with that as long as it's on both of your phones. Especially if you're doing this out of care and concern and you're not doing to track the person or try to catch them in a lie. Saying hurtful things while under the influence of drugs or alcohol and using the substance as an excuse to say hurtful things. Well, baby, I was just drunk or I was high. You know how I get. No, it's not okay. Blaming the victim for how the abuser acts or feels. What's your fault? Maybe if you came home on time or you cleaned the house or you cooked more, he wouldn't have to yell at you so much. That is not okay. Making the victim remain on the premises after a fight or leaving them somewhere else after a fight just to teach them a lesson. I've heard of women saying, "Let me out," and the person let them out and doesn't go back and check on them, doesn't go back and pick them up after cooling off period. It's not okay. Or saying, "You can't leave this house. You need to sit down right there. You're not leaving." That's not okay. Making the victim feel that there's no way out of the relationship. What is sexual abuse or sexual exploitation of a spouse or intimate partner? So I want to ask you in chat. I know that a lot of people um, understand these signs and symptoms. I know they do. You either know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that has been affected by abuse of some sort: domestic violence, name calling, physical violence, sexual violence. So, what do you think about what I'm reading? Sexual abuse includes sexual assault, forcing someone to participate in unwanted, unsafe, or degrading sexual activity. Sexual harassment, ridiculing another person to try to limit their sexuality or reproductive choices. You know, I'm going to name call you. That way you don't want to go out and cheat on me, or I'm going to body shame you, or I'm going to just shame you in general so that you don't feel good about yourself so you don't go out and cheat on me. I mean, just saying this out loud makes me think, man, I want to beat up whoever says that. I mean, one abuse doesn't equal, it doesn't make it right. But you know what? Men that do this or women that do this, it's just so emotionally unhealthy. Sexual exploitation, such as forcing someone to look at pornography, or forcing, the word is forcing, someone to participate in pornographic filmmaking. Now, if you are into that, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. Sexual abuse often is linked to physical abuse. They may occur together, or the sexual abuse may occur after a bout of physical abuse. Now we're getting to the nitty gritty here. What is stalking? And granted, there are different stalking laws all over the US. So this is just a generic one, okay? Stalking is harassment or threatening another person, especially in a way that haunts the person physically or emotionally in a repetitive and devious manner. Stalking of an intimate partner can take place during the relationship with the intense monitoring of the partner's activities. Or stalking can take place after a partner or spouse has left the relationship. The stalker may be trying to get their partner back, or they may wish to harm their partner as punishment for the departure. Regardless of the fine details, the victim fears for their safety. Stalking can take place at or near the victim's home, near or in the workplace, on the way to the store or another destination, or on the internet. Cyber stalking. Stalking can be on the phone, in person, or online. Stalkers may never show their face, or they may be everywhere in person. So, excuse me. So, chat, if you are in any of this, any of these situations, what should you do first and foremost? What should you do? I know there's a lag, so I'm going to wait. What should you do? If you're being stalked, if you're being controlled, if you're being hurt, what should you do? Share with me while I read some more. Stalkers employ a number of threatening tactics. They repeat phone calls, sometimes with hang-ups, following, tracking, possibly even with a global positioning device. Finding the person through public records, online searching, or paid investigators, watching with hidden cameras, suddenly showing up where the victim is in home, school, or work, sending emails, communicating in chat rooms or with instant messaging, cyber stalking, sending unwanted packages, cards, gifts, or letters, monitoring the victim's phone calls or computer use, contacting the victim's friends, family, co-workers, or neighbors to find out about the victim, going through the victim's garbage, threatening to hurt the victim or their family, friends, or pets, damaging the victim's home, car, or other property. So, in another case that we talk about nonstop, we've talked about stalking, and people say, they said there was no stalking. Well, look at all these things that stalking can be. You can't tell me that some of this stuff did not happen. You can't. I don't believe it. I don't know if y'all believe it or y'all have an opinion about the stalking or the surveying. He wasn't watching them. But look at all this. This goes beyond just watching somebody. Does it not? Does it not? Stalking is unpredictable and should always be considered dangerous. If someone is tracking you, contacting you when you do not wish to have contact, attempting to control you, or frightening you, then seek help immediately. What is cyber stalking? Let's talk about this a minute. Let me see what you got to say. Would a stalker be frightened away if the stalkee were to hold up their phone and shoot video of them, threatening to send the video to the police? I don't know. That might be something that you could do to prove that somebody is actually watching you, or take pictures of their vehicle or their car or video, like you're saying. I mean, there's so many ways that you can say, well, this person is always where I'm at, and it's not coincidental. So that's a good point, Jeff. What is cyber stalking? Cyber stalking is the use of telecommunication technologies, such as the internet or email, to stalk another person. Cyber stalking may be an additional form of stalking, or it may be the only method the abuser employs. Cyber stalking is deliberate, persistent, and personal. You know, I've had individuals in my past, in my life, that have worried about their significant others cheating, right? So they've created an alternate profile on a dating app just to catch their partner potentially cheating. I mean, if you got to go that far, I mean, honestly, it's time to either get some help for the relationship or you need to find a way out. You know what I mean? Because when you start being deviant in the relationship like that, it's just going to continue to escalate. Spamming with unsolicited email is different from cyberstalking. Spam does not focus on the individual as does cyberstalking. The cyberstalker methodically finds and contacts the victim. Much like a spam or sexual nature, a cyberstalker's message may be disturbing and inappropriate. Also, like spam, you cannot stop the contact with a request. In fact, the more you protest or respond, the more rewarded the cyberstalker feels. The best response to cyberstalking is not to respond to the contact. Do you ever wonder why one of the victims in the Idaho 4, and I'm not going to talk about them the whole time, but I'm going to talk about that case right here because we have heard a lot about that. You ever wonder why they say that one of the victims received an instant message from the suspect and they didn't respond supposedly. The victim didn't respond. Do you wonder if that was like a secondary after possibly them feeling unsafe due to that individual making them feel uncomfortable? If Maddie was the victim, if she was the target, I meant, then if she was the one that had the DM inside of her Instagram message box, could she have not responded on purpose due to, okay, I was nice to this guy, now he won't quit coming by the Mad Greek, or everywhere I look, he's there? Just speculating right there. Cyberstalking falls in a gray area of law enforcement. Enforcement on most state and federal stalking laws requires that the victim be directly threatened with an act of violence. Very few law enforcement agencies can act if the threat is only implied. Regardless of whether you can get stalking laws endorsed against cyberstalking, you must treat cyberstalking seriously and protect yourself. Cyberstalking sometimes advances to real stalking and to physical violence. How likely is it that stalking will turn into violence? Stalking can end in violence whether or not the stalker threatens violence. And stalking can turn into violence even if the stalker has no history of violence. Women stalkers are just as likely to become violent as the male stalkers. Those around the stalking victim are also in danger of being hurt. For instance, a parent, spouse, or bodyguard who makes the stalking victim unattainable may hurt or killed as the stalker pursues the stalking victim. What is economic or financial abuse of a spouse or domestic partner? Withholding economic resources such as money or credit cards, stealing from or defrauding a partner of money or assets, exploiting the intimate partner's resources for personal gain, withholding physical resources such as food, clothes, necessary medications, or shelter from a partner, preventing the spouse or intimate partner from working or choosing an occupation. What is spiritual abuse of a spouse or intimate partner? Spiritual abuse includes using the spouse's or intimate partner's religious or spiritual beliefs to manipulate them. Now, if you were a good Christian, you do this. Now, if you were a good Christian, you do that. You know, it's very terrible. Hey PKC, hey Warning Label, Texas, how you doing, buddy? Leslie and Billy, I saw you earlier. Aquarius, how you doing? Rondi, Jeff H, my normal people, Mountain Mama. Anybody else that I missed? Thank y'all for being here tonight. I know this is a tough subject. Um, ridiculing the other person's religious or spiritual beliefs, preventing the partner from practicing their religious or spiritual beliefs, forcing the children to be reared in a faith that the partner has not agreed to. How do I know if I'm in an abusive relationship? What are the signs and symptoms of an abusive relationship? So this is just tentative, okay? So just because I'm reading this does not necessarily mean that you need to go beat up your spouse tonight because they've been abusing you, okay? Or leave the situation abruptly. This is just kind of a checkoff list if it's over time, if it's um, progressive. It says your inner feelings and dialogue, fear, self loathing, numbness, desperation. Are you fearful of your partner a large percentage of the time? Do you avoid certain topics or spend a lot of time figuring out how to talk about certain topics so that you do not arouse your partner's negative reaction or anger? Do you ever feel that you can't do anything right for your partner? Do you ever feel so badly about yourself that you think you deserve to be physically hurt? Have you lost the love and respect that you once had for your partner? Do you sometimes wonder if you are the one who is crazy and maybe you are overreacting to your partner's behaviors? Do you sometimes fantasize about ways to kill your partner to get them out of your life? Are you afraid that your partner may try to kill you? Are you afraid that your partner will try to take your children away from you? Do you feel that there is nowhere to turn for help? Are you feeling emotionally numb? Were you abused as a child or did you grow up with domestic violence in your household? Does domestic violence seem normal to you? If you answered the three or more of these questions, if you answered yes, then you might need to call 911 or get out of this situation however is possible. Do not abruptly just leave. Formulate a plan so that you can leave safely with the children, okay? So don't just leave and don't tell the person your plan because the moment that you put the plan in place, that means the person is going to start counteracting whatever you were planning to do. Your partner's lack of control over their own behavior. Does your partner have low self-esteem? Do they appear to feel powerless, ineffective, or inadequate in the world, although they are outwardly successful? Does your partner externalize the causes of their own behavior? Do they blame their violence on stress, alcohol, or a bad day? Is your partner unpredictable? Is your partner a pleasant person between bouts of violence? Your partner's violence or threatening behavior. Does your partner have a bad temper? Has your partner ever threatened to hurt or kill you? Has your partner ever physically hurt you? Has your partner threatened to take your children away from you, especially if you try to leave the relationship? Has your partner ever threatened to commit suicide, especially as a way of keeping you from leaving? Has your partner ever forced you to have sex when you didn't want to? Has your partner threatened you at work, either in person or on the phone? Is your partner cruel to animals? Does your partner destroy the belongings or household objects? Your partner's controlling behavior. Does your partner try to keep you from seeing your friends and family? Are you embarrassed to invite friends or family over to your house because of your partner's behavior? Has your partner limited your access to money, the telephone, or the car? Does your partner try to stop you from going where you want to go outside of the house or from doing what you want to do? Is your partner jealous and possessive, asking where you're going and where you've been, as if checking up on you? Do they accuse you of having an affair? Your partner's diminishment of you. Does your partner verbally abuse you? Does your partner humiliate or criticize you in front of others? Does your partner often ignore you or put you down, your opinions or contributions? Does your partner always insist that they are right, even when they are clearly wrong? Does your partner blame you for their own violent behavior, saying that your behavior or attitudes cause them to be violent? Is your partner often outwardly angry with you? Does your partner objectively and disrespect those of your gender? Does your partner see you as a property or sex object rather than as a person? In my workplace, what are the warning signs that a person is a victim of domestic violence? So these are some things to look for if you're working with people that you might suspect of being in a domestic violence situation. Domestic violence often plays out in the workplace. For instance, a husband, wife, girlfriend, or boyfriend might make threatening phone calls to their intimate partner or ex partner, or the worker may show injuries from physical abuse at home. If you witness a cluster of the following warning signs in the workplace, you can reasonably suspect domestic abuse. Bruises and other signs of impact on the skin with the excuse of accidents. Depression, crying, frequent and sudden absences, frequent lateness, frequent harassing phone calls to the person while they were at work, fear of the partner, references to the partner's anger, decreased productivity and attentiveness, isolation from friends and family, insufficient resources to live, money, credit cards, or car. If you do recognize these signs of domestic abuse in a coworker, talk to your HR department. The HR staff should be able to help the victim without your further involvement. What are your causes of domestic abuse? What are the causes of domestic abuse or domestic violence? A strong predictor of domestic violence in adulthood is domestic violence in the household in which the person was reared. For instance, a child's exposure to their father's abuse of their mother is the strongest risk factor for transmitting domestic violence from one generation to the next. This cycle of domestic violence is difficult to break because parents have presented violence as the norm. Individuals living with domestic violence in their households have learned that violence and mistreatment are the way to vent anger. Someone resorts to physical violence because they have solved their problems in the past with violence. They have effectively exerted control and power over others through violence, and no one has stopped them from being violent in the past. Some immediate causes that can set off a bout of domestic abuse are stress, provocation by the intimate partner, economic hardship such as prolonged unemployment, depression, desperation, jealousy, and anger. How does society perpetuate domestic abuse? Society contributes to domestic abuse or violence by not taking it seriously enough and by treating it as expected, normal, or deserved. Specifically, society perpetuates domestic abuse in the following ways. Police may not treat domestic abuse as a crime, but rather as a domestic dispute. Courts may not award severe consequences such as imprisonment or economic sanctions. A community usually doesn't ostracize domestic abusers. Clergy or counselor may have the attitude that the relationship needs to be improved and that the relationship can work given more time and effort. People may have the attitude that the abuse is the fault of the victim or that the abuse is a normal part of marriage or domestic partnerships. Gender role socialization and stereotypes condone abusive behavior by men. Community solutions may be inadequate, such as the victims cannot get the help they need. For example, seeking refuge in a shelter may require a woman to leave her neighborhood, social support system, job, school, and child care. In addition, teenagers are often not welcome at shelters, particularly teenage males. Teenage girls with children may have difficulty finding shelter because of their age, and male victims of domestic violence have trouble finding shelters that will take them. That is so true. Domestic abuse is more common in low income populations. Low income victims may lack mobility and the financial resources to leave an abusive situation. Who abuses their spouses or intimate partners? 92% of physical abusers are men. However, women can also be perpetrators of domestic violence. About 75% of stalkers are men stalking women, but stalkers can also be women stalking men. men stalking men, or women stalking women. Domestic abuse knows no age or ethnic boundaries. Domestic abuse can occur during a relationship or after a relationship has ended. Those are trying times right there. What are the results of domestic violence of abuse? The results of domestic violence or abuse can be very long lasting. People who are abused by a spouse or intimate partner may develop sleeping patterns, problems, depression, anxiety attacks, low self esteem, lack of trust in others, feelings of abandonment, anger, sensitivity to rejection, diminished mental and physical health, inability to work, poor relationship with their children and other loved ones, substance abuse as a way of coping. Physical abuse may result in death if the victim does not leave the relationship. What is the effect of domestic violence on children? Children who witness domestic violence may develop serious emotional, behavioral, developmental, or academic problems. As children, they may become violent themselves or withdraw. Some act out at home or school, others try to be the perfect child. Children from violent homes may become depressed and have low self esteem. As they develop, children and teens who grow up with domestic violence in the household are more likely to use violence at school or the community in response to perceived threats, more likely to attempt suicide, more likely to use drugs, more likely to commit crimes, especially sexual assault, more likely to use violence or enhance their reputation and self esteem, more likely to become abusers in their own relationships later in life. Okay. So that was a long one. Do y'all have any questions? Do you have any suggestions? Because I did want you guys to give me some solutions to anything that maybe you've heard that technically isn't what is stated when it comes to getting out of a situation like that. Can y'all tell me what you would suggest if somebody came to you and said, "You know what, I'm being abused, but I don't know what to do. I've called the police, they won't do anything." Any suggestions? That's true. It's clean and we're good friends. Unfortunately, the damage was done. I hate that he wasn't a good dad. There's not much of a relationship between them. That usually happens. That's terrible. And you're right. The internet's going really slow today. I don't know why, but I am waiting for y'all's responses. While I do that, I'm going to play a video for you guys that gives you a little bit of hope. Okay? Making a plan to get away and having a place to go to. That's true.
Fire under moonlight, every touch a silent vow. But time can fade the brightest flame. We're just strangers now. Words once soft now feel like stone. Promises like paper in the rain. I try to hold you, but your soul's untamed. And I can't fix what I can't name. We lost our way, but not our truth. This pain is just a shade of proof that love this deep don't disappear. It just hides beneath the fear. So I'll wait like rivers to the sea. I believe love comes back to where it's meant to be. If we bend but never break, then one day we'll mend this ache. You're the heart I couldn't claim, like the storm that won't be tamed. But I still pray that the river finds its way. I remember dancing in your arms, No doubt, no space between. But now we pass like distant stars, living ghosts inside a dream. You said love don't die, it just gets tired. So here I am, still wired to every word you left unsaid, still sleeping on your side of the bed. We lost the light, but not the flame. We just forgot how to speak each other's name. But love like ours don't fade to black. It leaves a trail that leads us back. So I'll wait like rivers to the sea. I believe love comes back to where it's meant to be. If we bend but never break, then one day we'll mend this ache. You're the heart I couldn't claim, like the storm that won't be tamed. But I still pray that the river finds its way. You run like thunder through my veins, even distance can't erase your name. If love is wild, then let it roam, but I believe it finds its way back home. So I'll wait like rivers to the sea. I believe love comes back to where it's meant to be. Even broken, we can rise. I still see forever in your eyes. You're the flame I couldn't tame. Still I whisper through the rain. One more day, let the river find its way. Love doesn't leave, it just forgets how to stay. But even lost hearts can find their way.
I hope y'all like that. I made that the other day. And when I was thinking about finding your way back, I wasn't talking about the relationship. I was talking about finding your way back to you. Because, if you don't ever understand that you're worth fighting for, or that your feelings are valid, or that your individuality is valid, and that you are worth something, if you have to get your validation through outwardly things or another person, then you're never going to be fully who you really are. We lose ourselves so deeply being enmeshed with another person sometimes that if it ever goes wrong, that's why sometimes people get out of situations and never try again, because they don't understand where they began, where they left off, and they feel like a part of them has died or been taken away, and relationships are hard. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of understanding and a lot of self-care for yourself, you know, because if you don't love yourself, you're not going to be capable of loving someone else. If you don't trust yourself, you're not going to be trusting anybody else. You're always going to be looking to try to find somebody who's potentially going to hurt you before you hurt them. You know what I mean? And that's not a good way to live. It really isn't. There was a time when, I thought that way. I'm going to get out or I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me. And all that did was just lessen my chances of happiness. And it took a lot of years to understand that. And I lost a lot of time due to it. And some of the stuff that I talk about on these lives is real talk. It's my real life talking. The actor, the chameleon, what I'm talking about now. How do you think I know about that? Because I was that. I did present that in the past. But I outgrew it. I worked through it. I worked hard to break those cycles because I was seeing that wasn't doing anything but just perpetuating the problem. And when you perpetuate a problem, you never break the cycle of your family dynamics. And the last thing you want to do is to pass this along to some other generation. You know, you don't want to pass this along to the other generation. You want to be able to show them that there is compatibility with people, there is love, there is attachment, there is all these wonderful things. You know, so it's very imperative that, kind of like Texas said, if his granddaughter or his daughter dealt with that, he'd be in prison. And that, he's older now, so the old school way wouldn't be a way to do it, I'm gonna put these glasses on. These lights are bright. That's why my eyes are kind of squinted because, I'm trying to like not blind myself with these LEDs. So you have to be mindful of what you pass along. There's always somebody that is watching you. There's always somebody that is looking for you, to you, for guidance. That's why I'm alone 12. I like my privacy to do what I want when I want. You're right. And a lot of times that's what it takes. You get to that point where you say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this drama anymore. There's too much. There's too much going on with all this fighting and arguing and game playing. After we reach a certain age, the games that we played when we were younger should just be obsolete. They really should. They shouldn't be part of our repertoire. They shouldn't be part of our buildup. Because you know what? In reality, as simple as I can make it, abuse is withholding anything from someone that usually it's supposed to be given freely. So if you withhold something that naturally comes or is supposed to be given, then you're being abusive. Somebody says, I love you, and you intentionally don't say it back, then you're being abusive in that moment. You might not be hurting them, or you could be hurting them, but that's the simplest definition of abuse, and I know y'all have heard love. I know that y'all have heard love doesn't hurt. True love does not hurt. You should never be hurt by somebody else's actions intentionally. We all let each other down. That's a given. But to hurt somebody intentionally, that's not cool. That's not cool. And there's somebody looking up to you. There's somebody looking up to you to guide them, to teach them the right way of living. So we're passing along the stuff that we learned, and it's maladaptive, then all that does is just give them a poor coping mechanism to pass on to their families and their families and their families. And it's not an easy situation. God, I need to go to the store. I can't be all sleepy. Can't be all sleepy. Um, I got to get some groceries. Let me see what Mountain Mama says. Yes, I lost me. I cannot risk that again. I have a man that we have dated for 12 years, but will not remarry. We both have our own homes. We're committed to each other, and he understands my position. Sometimes those are the best relationships. They really are. I mean, you have your place, he has his place. I'm sure y'all end up at each other's places from time to time. You might stay one place for a little bit, then stay at the other place for a little bit. I mean, some people cannot be cohabitated. They're not made to cohabitate. Like they don't do well with losing their personal space. You know, for a long time, Um, before I bought my home, I was always being asked by people, "Why do you have this old ass furniture? How come you don't have new furniture, new this, new that?" And I always told them, I said, because my furniture is going to end up in a garage in the man cave because I'm going to have to get rid of my stuff unless she's able to compromise and say, well, that's a cool love seat. We'll keep that. But your bed has to go. We got to get a new bed. We're not sleeping on that bed anymore. Those small things like that. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to kind of compromise. I'm going to kind of fight for my recliner, but ultimately, you got to compromise and say, all right, the recliner's going in the man cave. You know what I'm saying? Um, you got to be at that point in life where you're like, well, I got to do this or I got to do that. Um, you got to give up the fight, sometimes. And it's playful whenever you're in a new relationship like that or you've gotten married. I've never been married, but you get married and you just know, hey, I got to give up. I got to give up this stuff. I got to give up my love seat. I got to give up, my my recliner, but I don't want to. I love this thing because being single for a long time, you tell yourself, "Well, I love it. This is my thing. This is my comfort. This is almost like my favorite pair of shoes." You get what I'm saying? It's like, why am I going to throw out why am I going to throw out my favorite pair of shoes? No, I'm not going to throw out my favorite pair of shoes. We're going to work it out. We're going to work it out. Hi, Macy. I'm not sure what you typed there, but hello. It says comma MZS TMSAZZN. Um, so let me ask you a question since we're talking about that. If you were to get into a committed relationship and you're the single guy, and she said, well, I don't like that couch, or I don't like that love seat, it got to go, or we need to get a new bed. There's not very many guys in the chat, but I want to know your opinion on this. How would you be diplomatic about that? Texas, what would you do? What would you do if she said, you know what? We got to get rid of that recliner. It got to go. Jeff, what would you do if your wife says, you know what, Jeff? That old couch that you have, it got to go. And that couch has seen you through good times and bad. It's almost like that couch is your favorite it's your favorite shirt. You know what I mean? That's how attached men get to certain things. What would you do? I'll tell her that once Elvis Presley sat on that couch and it's worth a lot of money. Good answer. Good answer. Texas, what would you do? Would you get rid of the couch? Would you get rid of the love seat? Would you put it in the man cave to be diplomatic? Would you try to? I mean, you love this woman. It's not just casual dating. Let's say you really loved her. You grew to love her, and she's like, "Baby, we got to get some new furniture. That furniture stinks. It's not matching. And this, that, and the other. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with your furniture? Are you gonna take it down to the Goodwill? I mean, what are you gonna do? I'm really curious to know what y'all would do because I got a storage full of brand new furniture. And, if I ever have to cross that line, man, I don't want to get rid of my stuff. But I would, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Or it's definitely going in the man cave. If I thought too hard to keep that couch, I'd probably end up sleeping on it. See, That's stated by a man that's married right there. You've learned you've learned to delegate and lose things that are really not that important. I would make him think it was his idea. You got to find some kind of compromise and balance. Good thoughts. Good thoughts. Oh, so I might need to have an estate sale before we decide any further kind of avenues and going down that line, you know. It's like I guess I'll get rid of my couches, baby, and the love seat, you know, and the recliner. A lot of my stuff is from my grandparents. It's not going anywhere till I die. Okay. See, we have two different directions here. I'm glad you are honestly saying this. Now I want to hear from some of the women. If you were in a committed relationship and y'all were getting to that point where you're about to move in together or whatever, and he says, you know, baby, we need to get some new furniture. I really don't care for your furniture or mine's old and worn out. How would y'all handle that? What would you say? I'm also single too. Yeah. Well, I mean, some of that stuff has sentimental value. I get that. I want to hear from the ladies. What would y'all say? What would y'all do? You know, baby, I like your stuff, but it really doesn't go with my stuff, and my stuff doesn't go with yours. Let's just get some new stuff. Would y'all compromise, or would you say your stuff is going in storage, or your stuff is going in the man cave? We're keeping my stuff. Let me hear from the ladies. Rondi says not well. JB says that's funny, Texas. I have my grandmother's sofa and chair in my den. We went through that. Guess what? Leslie got new couches. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Guess what? Leslie got new couches. I have these really nice big Bose speakers that used to be in the living room on either side of the TV. Now they're restacked up in the laundry room. Thanks, honey. All of ours is worn out junk. We're too broke to have nice new stuff. Well, sometimes some of that worn out stuff feels better than the new stuff. You know what I'm saying? Man cave, 12 gauge, where ye hear man cave it went. JB sounds like you think like me. Jeff 8, that's a 70s look. Yeah, I mean, you think this is not a big deal. I mean, so if anybody's watching and they're looking to move in with somebody or cross that line of marriage or whatever, that's why I never got nice stuff. I mean, I got some nice furniture and a bed and everything in storage, but at that point I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to be single forever now. I'll just go ahead and, buy some nice stuff for myself. I'm not going to have to get rid of it. And then guess what? The wind blew around me and the princess showed up. Now my stuff is in storage, and if we ever get a place together, um, I guess my stuff's going in the man cave or it's going to be donated to Goodwill, one or the other. Bose is your stuff and Jeff defense. Okay. So Leslie got new furniture, huh? New couches. How come we can never keep our comfortable couches and recliners? I mean, what is wrong with that, ladies? What's wrong with us keeping our comfortable recliner where we sit in, where we, eat, possibly sleep sometimes, possibly pass out from time to time? What's wrong with us keeping our recliners and our couches? I even recon those speakers myself. Can y'all answer me that? What's wrong with that, ladies? Jeff, let it go. Jeff, are you whooped? Whipped? What's wrong with us keeping our old stuff, ladies? Got those Bose speakers real cheap because previous owner's cat had scratched the front grill, but I didn't care about that. They sound great. So I don't blame you. Those things are high dollar. Like cream. My parents had the same sofa since the 80s and finally got a new one last year. That's how it goes. I mean, comfort is comfort. And some of this newer furniture doesn't have as much comfort as the older stuff. Some of the foam stuff from the 80s and 90s, you can't get those couches like that anymore. And those lazy boys, I mean, they haven't, the older lazy boys, they just kind of contour to your body. You can't get that kind of stuff these days. I don't care about the couches, but leave my recliner alone. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right there. Is that a Texas thing? Because I know a lot of men that will fight their women, not abuse them, but they will get into, I'll sleep on the couch. We're not throwing away my damn recliner. Is that a Texas thing or is that all over thing? What do y'all think, man? Y'all think that it's a Texas thing or would you go to bat for your recliner? Because the recliner is special, man. That's something that kind of, that's your thing. That's your thing. That's like your favorite pair of shoes. It's like your favorite hat, your favorite shirt. You're not throwing away my recliner. Come on. Let's not. No, baby, I don't want to get rid of my recliner. Leslie says you sound like Archie Bunker. My dad kept a recliner from the 80s. Yeah, I mean, they don't build them like that anymore. JB, they don't. They do not. I sat in one the other day because I was thinking, you know what? I need a recliner. That's when you get into trouble when you start saying, I need. Not I want, I need. So I sat in the recliner. I thought, damn, where's the cushion on this thing? I know I'm not that heavy, so where's the cushion in this damn thing? That's hilarious, Texas. I always thought my grandparents were Edith and Archie. That's interesting. Look, you sit in something that you spend a lot of time on. Some of those recliners, they have massagers in them, the old school ones. Some of them heated up. They were fancy spancy, and it's hard to let go of those bad boys. It's hard to let go of those bad boys, but it's not worth the fight. Put it in the man cave, you know, put all the beer signs and the pictures and everything else in the man cave. you know, I need a new recliner, but one of ours is broke down. We sleep in shifts. Well, PKC, if I come across a good one, you need to give me your address. I will ship that bad boy to you. Hey, 12 gauge, Walt Harris here. Hey, Walt, nice to see you, buddy. We're talking about recliners and furniture. Like, if you ever, I don't know if you're married or you've ever had to get rid of your stuff before you were married, like the furniture that you had, the bed that you had. Were you able to compromise with your wife about the furniture? Were you able to keep it, or did it end up in the man cave? Rondi says, my mom had his kid take my dad's chair on the curb. He came home and mom just said, huh? How did that happen? I'll keep mine till it can't be fixed. No, no. I have an anti-gravity chair and a 32-inch TV in the basement. I'm worse than T-Rev. Anti-gravity chair. Hey, comfort is comfort, bro. Comfort is comfort. There's a lot to be said for comfortable shoes, comfortable furniture, comfortable beds, comfortable, kind of like this computer chair. It's comfortable. It beats a lot of other things that are out there. I'm not one of those people that newer is always better because, as you've seen behind me, I've have a lot of shoes. And most of these Nikes that I bought are trash. They're not built like they used to be. Walt says, my wife throws everything out. I kept one table. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Women do throw a lot of our stuff out. Why is that? We have two that are stuck, reclined. You can jump in and crawl out over the store just to avoid them. I've had recliners like that. The new ones don't hold up like these. The new ones don't hold up like these old ones. I think you meant to say. So on a first date, you should ask her to try out your favorite recliner and watch her reaction very, very carefully. I recommend Profit and Fitville shoes, not stylish but comfortable. Thank you for that. I will look into that because these Nikes are crap. And the older you get, the harder they are on your feet. I'm not one of those people that wears those flat shoes with no cushion in them. I can't do it. I've never been able to do it. And I won't do it. I pay a little bit for comfort, I really do. But women, why do you make sure that you make us throw our stuff away? Have you ever had a favorite? I'm asking this question for the guys. Have you ever had a favorite shirt that was always ending up in the trash? You'd have to go retrieve that bad boy because the wife or girlfriend was always throwing that shirt away. And where's that shirt now? Did it end up getting thrown away or did you rescue it and put it somewhere where it cannot be found? Your favorite tennis shoes are Hoka's from Goodwill. Okay. Those are high dollar, Jeff. I mean, when you buy those off the shelf, they're not cheap at all. They're really not. If I'm thinking of the ones that you're talking about, they're pretty comfortable. Academy had a pair of shoes. Um, I can't remember what the brand was. It was Man something, but they were they were amazing comfort wise, and they cost like $29. Put Apple tags on your favorite shirts. Yep. Yeah, mine was so thin and had holes all in it. I still have it. Barely hangs on a hanger now. That's what I'm saying. We will not let go of that shirt. We will not let go. How about you, Walt? You got a favorite shirt that has made it to the trash and back because the wife is tired of seeing it on you? Or maybe it's so worn out that it needs to be gone, but it's your favorite shirt? Jeff, do you have a favorite shirt? I know that blue one that you wear is quite comfy looking, but is that your favorite shirt or do you have a favorite shirt? JB, how about you? Do you have a favorite shirt? Do you have Has your shirt ever ended up in the trash? I actually have a pair of jeans that's been around too long. I have three favorite shirts. And y'all women pipe in. If y'all have a favorite item that's ended up in the trash because your husband or your boyfriend doesn't like it, let me hear from you too. That shirt is probably 30 years old. It's great for mowing grass. That's usually how it goes. It's like, there's so and so in that damn shirt of his. I can't ever get rid of it. Women have shoes that they will fight you for. They will not let you throw away their favorite pair of shoes. They won't do it. They won't let you throw away something that they've replaced or have, they got three of in the cabinet but this one's wearing out and you want to throw it away. No, I'm going to fix that. Guys don't usually do that. They get rid of their stuff. We don't. Probably because we got so little of it, we want to take care of what we got. I mean, really, I don't know about many guys, but the guys that I know, we've we've always kept everything that we have can fit in a one bedroom apartment, possibly a studio apartment. You know what I mean? Most of the guys that I know, if they were able to be like having to go somewhere or move out, it's a one bedroom studio apartment that they could fit everything they own in. My wife threw out some 6XL Russell t-shirts, 4 sizes too big. She was like, have some pride. 12. I mow grass in shorts with boots and socks and that holy ass shirt. Damn, we need a picture of that, Texas. I can't say I have a favorite shirt just as long as it fits after I wash it. I hear you. I hear you on that one. Texas. I went through a phase of wearing polo shirts to cut grass so the neighbors would think I was rich. 12 gauge. Billy used to have his NASCAR collection, and it's a big one. It's in MSN Cave. It's in the man cave now. So basically, you moved all Billy's cool stuff into the man cave, Leslie. And you moved all Leslie's stuff to replace all that. All with the with the NASCAR stuff went Leslie's knickknacks with her cats and her little squirrels and everything else, right? I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. That's usually how it goes. It's hard to find new clothes that I like. I try new shirts on and I feel like I have a tingly rash all over my upper body. That is funny as hell. It is. Too dang hot for that here, Walt, unless you cut the sleeves off. Please don't do that. Don't do that. That look is, I mean, I've had cut off shirts like that when I was younger, but after a while, you get too old to be wearing cut off shirts. Me finding the right shirt is like Harry Potter finding the right wand. He has like 2 feet in closet. I have like 12. I believe that. And that's another thing. We get shafted when it comes to the closet. That's why y'all ask us, baby, do you want more clothes or do you need more shoes? Where are we going to put them? Where are we going to put them? Oh, that'll end up in the man cave too. Just wait. Texas Ranger, I bet I never now after like 9:30 a.m. Like, where am I going to put this new stuff? I guess it's going in the man cave. Jeff, we saw your man cave on that live, that video. I mean, that's where all your stuff goes. I mean, I'm sure that you have some stuff around the house, but it looks like most of your cool stuff is in the man cave. Or you like something and you say, "Oh, I like this lamp." There's no way in hell that's going in the living room. That is going in your man cave. Have you ever heard that statement? Have you ever heard that statement with anything attached to it? My wife would love to throw a lot of my stuff away. Why do the women insist on throwing our stuff away? It said I used to mow at 2 or 3 in the morning, but done got too old to do that. My dad's a 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning guy. He's always up and going at 2 o'clock. He sleeps during the day when it's hot, gets up when it's cool, and does what he has to do. I find cool stuff at Goodwill and then wait for when my wife's in a good mood before I bring it into the house. Come on, Jeff. I've known women that do that. They keep a pair of shoes that they bought in their car, and then probably a week later or 2 weeks, they bring it into the house, and then they say, "Well, did you just buy those?" No, I've had them forever. I bought them 2 months ago. Any Ollie's in Texas 12 gauge, you can find some cheap area rugs there. We do have Ollie's. We do. One just opened up in the area I used to live in, and I heard it's a pretty good spot to shop. Well, my friend told her new husband she didn't know who had been on it. So is that why you won't let us keep stuff? Okay. We used to have a neighbor that mowed around 3 or 4 a.m. She had flashlights strapped to the mower. Wow, PKC. I'm going to have to check out Ollie's now. I didn't know what it was. Damn, Jeff, now you got me wanting to check Goodwill if we have one. Yeah, we have a Goodwill here, but they don't have as good looking stuff as what Jeff sends me in picture wise. You know, new bed for sure. Yeah, the bed's not going in the man cave. The bed will end up on the side of the road somewhere. Let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all ever see a piece of furniture that you see on the side of the road that somebody's giving away and it may be missing a wheel, maybe missing a plank or something, and you stop and you get it and you say, well, I can fix this. And your significant other just looks at you like you're crazy? I used to go to the side store and into the basement to bring in 2 liters of Pepsi. My wife would be like, wow, you had the same 2 liter in the fridge for a while. If you don't like paying $15 for a shower liner, Ollie's has them for $4. All right. All right. Good looking out. You'll love it. Lots of good buys in Ollie's. I furbished my man cave there. That's good to know. I'll have to check that out. I'll definitely have to check that out. I didn't know what that store was. I know in East Texas they have a store called Atwoods. I think it would be kind of like that. I like shopping at Atwoods. They had some good stuff. Um, y'all have Big Lots where you're at? We don't have an Ollie's here. Let's see what you did, PKC. She said, I actually did that one 12 gauge. Ironically, a recliner on a yard. I raced home to get the pickup. Yeah, I've known many people that have done that. My parents, my dad's a big person like that. Um, See, I knew you'd know about Atwoods, Texas. They carry your overalls. All right. Atwoods is a good place. It's a good place. Big Lots is a good place. Yeah, ours did too. Ours did too. I think they're going out of business. But if you've ever stopped on the side of the road to pick up something that somebody was throwing away and said, I can fix this, or, I can still get a couple more years out of it, I think a lot of people have done that, even if you don't admit it. My brother and I, we had just moved into an apartment. It was on the third floor, third story. Ollie's is pretty cool. Just saw a 15% off thing in the email. I know the Big Lots near me closed. I think they're going out of business all over. That's sad because I like that store. But let me tell this story. We had just moved into our first apartment together because he was, moving where I was. And we didn't have a couch. And he said, bro, there's a big red maroon looking couch they threw over there in the next apartment building by the dumpster. Let's go get it. I said, all right. Then we walk over there and there's a 8-foot fence with, the wood points at the top and everything else. And I said, well, how the hell are we going to get that couch over the fence? He said, I'll lift it up and guide it and you can grab it and then I'll push up on it and then I'll jump back over and then we'll carry it up. We carried that thing up 3 flights of stairs. That couch had moved probably 3 times, and then the last time that I was moving out of my apartment, he had already moved out because he, had his wife that he has now, and I just threw that couch over over the railing. I was tired of carrying that couch. I was tired of it. That thing is heavy, was heavy, but it was a good little couch. It was one of those pleather couches. You know, those things never go out of they never go out of style. They might fade a little bit. They might have little patches here and there, but it's still a good couch. They have some good foam in those kind of couches. We didn't care. It was next to a dumpster. We didn't give a damn. We found the couch. We both slept on it from time to time. The one thing about those couches is they get hella hot and you end up sticking to the couch. A lot of Big Lots are reaping under Rose's parent company. Rose's is a really kind of suspect. For any first time home buyers, it's best to get furnishings out of the garbage, especially being here in Pittsburgh. There's some decent neighborhoods here. I don't trash pick, but I should. That's what I'm saying. I mean, everybody does. Damn, 12 dumpster diving couches. I did it, bro. I did it. I'm not ashamed to say it. We needed a couch and we didn't have the money to get one at that point. We were just starting out. We cleaned it up, did the whole bleached it down, wiped it down, all that stuff before we sat on it, obviously. We just didn't bring it up the stairs and start sleeping on a couch that was, by a dumpster. My cousin goes every trash day to the Ritzy place and he's gotten some nice furniture. Sometimes he'll just redo it, but lots of time it's beautiful wood pieces and he just cleans them up. I've seen people do that. Hey Kelko, don't feel bad. I've picked up crap before too. Nice to see you in here, Kelko. It's interesting that you do find some interesting stuff. I mean, I don't know the laws about that, but if it's on the side of the road, especially if there's a free sign on it, you just stop by, load your pickup, take off. You know what I mean? Or, I mean, because I know a lot of people who have, especially men, a lot of men who have little tables that they love, have been with them probably as long as their underwear has those little rings on them, but that table has withstood the test of time. And we may have gotten it off the side of the road, cleaned it up, take the dust, take the cobwebs off of it, and used it as a table for decades. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, I dumpster dove a couch. You're right. You heard it here on 12 Gauge Investigative. 12 Gauge dumpster dove a couch. I mean, when you're young and you need stuff and you don't have the financial means to save up for it because bills come first, you do what you got to do. I mean, I've bought furniture from I think they call it Family Dollar or Dollar General or something. I've gone as cheap can get early on because I didn't have a lot of money. But now I wouldn't do that, not because I'm too good for it, but because, you know, everything that I bought over time, and I just don't want to have my significant other throwing it out. Let's compromise, baby. I know you're watching, so let's compromise in the future. In the future, please don't throw my stuff away. Let's compromise. I'll put everything in the garage, in the man cave, whatever I got to do. Just please don't throw my stuff away. For some reason, I watch a guy on YouTube that dumpster dives, and I'm blown away at the stuff he gets. Yeah, I draw the line on dumpster diving for food. If I was hungry enough, you know, I hate to say that, but I just did. If I was hungry enough, I would. My grandpa never had a matching pair of gloves that I can remember. We set a refrigerator out with a sign that said free and it works. 5 minutes and it was gone. Yep. 12 gauge. My friend went to jail. He went dumpster diving. Well, look at our new member, Kel Kel. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you so much for that. Welcome. I remember my wife made us rent a U-Haul to pick up a table an hour away in the boonies. The guy selling it to us drove his three-wheeler down to meet us at the gas station. We still laugh about it. Yeah. I mean, you do what you got to do. You do what you got to do. It's funny to talk about it right now, but you know what? There's no shame in my game. I mean, maybe there's some things that I won't do now, but when I was younger, I didn't give a damn. My husband has an eagle eye for things on the road, especially tools, lug wrenches, binders, bungee cords, crescent winches. My dad's like that as well. He is like that as well. I love Goodwill. The Mormons here give away their stuff like crazy. I'm glad you do. Welcome to the green team. This is a good channel. I'm glad you're here. Well, survival is survival. Exactly. Exactly. You know, if you see a tool on the side of the road, I mean, tools are expensive nowadays. I remember this store you could go in, it was a thrift store for men, I guess you would say. You could go in there and he'd have, like wrenches tied together. Might be like five, $3. You go into that store now, he's jacked those prices up to like $20 for 5 wrenches. I mean, you know, it's it's gone ridiculous how prices are for things. You know what I mean? So yeah, you have to be very, very have that eagle eye for bargains. It doesn't look like I'm gonna make it to HEB because I'm in no hurry to go shopping. I'm really not. I'm enjoying this. If my grandpa saw a screw on the ground, he would pick it up and put it in his pocket. I had the same type grandfather. I used to see all kinds of things on the roads. Hell, I'm stopping. We're talking about furniture, dumpster diving. We're talking about why women throw away our stuff when we're newly moving in with each other and things like that. We've gone past the domestic violence into just kind of behaviors that happen whenever, normal life stuff, Kel. So you say scary as hell, just cruising down the road 60 miles an hour and he slams on the brakes. I think I saw something good back there. You're like, what the hell? My in-laws used to buy a storage unit, trash to treasures. I hear there's a lot of good things in storage units. Do you have Harbor Freight in Texas? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We do. And that's one of my dad's favorite stores is Harbor Freight. He says the jacks aren't worth the crap at Harbor Freight, but he got an air compressor, the biggest one, and it seems to be working pretty well for him. He said the tools are okay, but sometimes you got to be wary of the tools that you get because sometimes they're not made like they used to be. He's a craftsman man, so that's his tool of choice is craftsman, and craftsmen seem to last forever. Y'all got to remember, most of our grandparents grew up during hard times. Exactly. The Great Depression and stuff. So it does make sense that you don't know if you might ever need this. I mean, my dad has little mason jars with screws, nuts, bolts, stuff that he just picks up from thrift stores. You don't know if you're ever going to use it, but it drives my mom crazy. It drives her crazy. My grandma was born in 1902. That's awesome, Texas. I used to hang free screwdriver sets from Harbor Freight in my office at work. I had about 30 sets functioning as a wallpaper. Harbor Freight can be okay, but sometimes the tools are crap. Yeah, that's what my dad says. Things were made to last, not like the crap nowadays. You're right on that. That's what I was saying too. Newer is not always better. It really isn't, you know. And the one thing that I noticed isn't made the same is chip clips. Y'all know what chip clips are? You know them old things that you put on a bag of chips or a bag of cereal or something to hold it to keep it from going bad. I've had to get those because they break so easily now. I've had to get those paper holders, the ones with the black clips with the silver on the you flip them over and you use them like that. That's what I use for chip clips because those other things are so freaking flimsy, they break so easily. The new Craftsman ratchets aren't worth a dang. Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff is not built the same way it used to be. Use clothespins, all right. If I can find those, I can never find old school stuff like that when I need it. You know what I mean? Like I was looking for clothespins, I was looking everywhere. I could not find them. It seems like they don't have the wooden ones anymore. They have the plastic ones. The big paper clips are good. All right. Yeah, the big ones are the ones that I use because I got tired of those cheap plastic ones. You put them on one time and they separate or whatever. It's just like, man, I'm not going to do that. I have a few clothespins. All right. My dollar store has wooden. Okay. I've always looked for wooden ones. I don't like those plastic ones because anything plastic is usually cheaply made. You should join Gabe's frequent shopper program. Every $50 you spend, you get $5 off for your next $25 purchase. All right. That sounded like an ad right there. I like that. For every every subscription you get $5 from the subscription at the end of the month. So if you can get new members in here for every $1.99 you get, I'll give you 50 cents. I bought a whole bag of clothespins at Wally World. I still hang bedding. Yeah. Nothing beats laundry that's been hung out to dry. I like the dryer stuff, but nothing beats laundry that's been dried out on a clothesline. My mom does laundry when it's pretty outside. Um, Nothing, you put those clothes on that just seem to have a different feel about them, especially jeans. The dryer shrinks them and you wear them and it's all that, but you get a fresh pair of jeans off the clothesline, there's no better feeling than that. I've never heard of that, Walt. I think Gabe's is just in the Northeast, but they did buy old time pottery stores. No, we don't have any of those that I know of. If I get a house, I want a clothesline. Me too. It smells and feels so good. 12 gauge. Time to set up an affiliate program. Exactly. I love clothesline smells, it I don't know what the wind does, but when you put those clothes on, it smells fresh. It smells like, you can I don't know, just getting the clothes out of the dryer, it smells pretty good, but it seems like everything had just shrunk. All we have is a Walmart here. Yeah, there's a lot of There's a lot of good stores out there. I mean, you have to look around. I emailed you a bunch of pics from my Good Will Hunting. Wasn't there a movie called Good Will Hunting? Let me go ahead and close this, Jeff, and I'll open it up and I'll show them. Leslie emailed me some pictures of her water pump. I don't see your email yet. Did you send them to my email or did you text them to me? Leslie, I'm going to show your water pump to the people. So this is Leslie's water pump, I guess, that she was working on with her husband. See this thing right here? It is a universal tool right there. Oh, nice. I like your house look right here. My dad has the same type scaffolds. These things are sturdy as hell. 72 years old getting on these scaffolds and hanging stuff on the walls. Look at that pump right there. I don't know what I'm looking at, but it looks pretty cool. I like that little shed, Leslie. If you're in here, I like that a lot. Kind of looks like a still. PKC says, I can't do a clothesline. I live in a gravel road where people think it's a racetrack. That and free range goats that would love pulling things off the line. Oh man, I see that. I think Leslie went away for a minute. I don't think she's in here. I'd sent to the wrong address. Should have. Oh, there she is. That's her she shed, she says. I like that, Leslie. Look at that. She has Home Sweet Home and little bears with stuff on them, and she has a broom looking thing. I like that. Leslie, y'all have a huge area out there. My dad had these same scaffolds. How long did it take y'all to complete that, Leslie? For those of you that don't know, this is Leslie's Moonshine Distillery. Oh my goodness. And here's some pictures from Jeff. These pictures are huge, Jeff. Hold on a second. Did you hear me, Leslie? That's your Moonshine Distillery. We take orders here on 12 Gauge Investigative. So if you're looking for some great apple flavored moonshine, let me know. I don't know how I'm going to shrink. Okay, here we go. Can y'all see that? Do you know Ozzy's about to go on tour with Black Sabbath, at least some of the members? I saw that on Facebook today. So that might be it's a farewell tour. How much is that, Jeff? $1.99. What is that? What that used for? YouTube is deleting my messages. What are you saying? I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not doing it. I don't think anybody in the chat is either. I think it's only one show 12. Okay. What'd you say that was, Jeff? It's a stuffed headless bat. Okay. I get it now. Don't look back. You're not going that way. I like that. $249. You can't beat the price. Hey, that looks like some kind of guitar or something back there. They told me I couldn't. That's why I did. I'm sure you didn't buy this one, Jeff. Your wife's like, you're not buying that, Jeff. It's hard to be humble when you're a Texan. Hell yeah. Did you buy that for Texas and myself? Jeff, did you buy that for Texas and myself? It does that to me and some other chat too. I'll type something and that big error message comes across the screen. It pisses me off. It done that. It done that in my own chat too sometimes. It's stupid. There's our sign, Texas, right there. It's hard to be humble when you're a Texan. Hook 'em horns. Welcome to the shit show. Hope you brought alcohol. Now, if you bought this, I could see you hanging that in the man cave. For those of you that don't know, and I'm sure you won't care me sharing this, Jeff is a coffee cup connoisseur. He loves to buy coffee cups. So I bet you money if he did not buy this on this day, that is going to end up in his coffee cup collection. I didn't buy the Texas thing. I only took the photo. I tell you, you need to go get a job there or something part time. They probably say, hey, you know where all the stuff is. Go show this customer where it's at. You know that what that sounds like? Not my problem. See, there's another coffee cup. You're on mute. There's a Starbucks coffee cup. Looks like it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Or maybe that's the decor. Has a little chip right there, but still usable. See what I mean? There's the picture right there. There's the proof. You can't say that I'm lying. I noticed that about Jeff the other night. Cool cups. There's the man, the myth, the legend. Best wife ever. He's smart. Happy wife, happy life, right? That's what they say. Let me check my give a shit meter. Nope, still nothing. Root for your damn self. Yeah? Killing it. I like that. Whoa. For 10 points, where have y'all seen these bar stools before? Hurry up. Yeah, I zoomed in. I told my grandson to take a pick of me with the best wife mug. Made my wife. There you go, 11:22. She beat us all. Welcome back, Nina. These are pretty cool. I've seen these bar stools before. They're not very comfortable, but they do what they got to do. Look at this chair back here, though. It's colorful. And there's a table back there. Jeff, you didn't buy the foosball table? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Did you buy this foosball table right here? I will send you the money to ship that to me if they still have it. That is something that you don't find everywhere. See, like this table, right? Or this little, I guess you would call it an end table or something. You buy that bad boy, it's going to last you for decades and decades. It'll probably last you longer than you're alive. $30. Bro. You need that foosball table. Make me another intro and I got you. If it's still there, go get it. Make me another intro, and I'll put the music on there. But I got you. Oh my God, this is like an old desk. There aren't anybody old enough for this, I'm sure, in my chat. But if you remember, I remember this kind of desk when I was in kindergarten. This is where you put your pencils, and obviously, this is where you put your little cup holder that held, like, I think that's the kind of desk. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Is that a desk or is that like a bus seat or something? Dang, I got all excited to show my knowledge, and maybe it's not even that. Yeah. But I remember putting my pencil in my desk and carving on it or even drawing on it. And over here there was like an opening where you put your books and everything. That's interesting right there. There's a wheelchair in the background. Look at that old horse right there. Fisher Price. See, this is what we do, Jeff. You take a picture, we scan all over it to see if we can find any other clues. This looks like a CD holder. I think I had one of these in my apartment at one point. Whoa. This is a gem right here. Does anybody know what that is? Elmer's pace holder. There you go. Mountain Mama said it's a desk. Okay. Yeah, it's an old school desk. I think I remember having those in kindergarten. A chair goes in front of the desk. Okay. That's a phonograph. So that's awesome. That is amazing right there. Columbia Graphanola. How old do you think this is, guys? How old do you think that is? That's an awesome find right there. I'd shank a bitch for you. Right in the kidney. Jeff. That looks like one of those cups that holds water and makes it stay cold. Uh-oh. What is this? Warp pipe pen and plant pot. What is this, Jeff? Do those pins turn into the plant? Is that what that is? Looks old. Okay. I was wondering what that was about. To-do list. Wake up, drink coffee, poop, be awesome. I cannot believe that you did not buy this coffee cup right here. That is what's up. I like this one. Of all the coffee cups, I like this one the best. Let me see what Leslie sent me. She said she sent me another email. Oh, Leslie, I want to ride in that side by side. I'm coming to visit you, Leslie. You and Billy. And have Billy take me in that side by side. Look at that. I'd be playing in that thing all day long. I'd be all over that land in that thing. I want one of those so bad. Okay, I got you, Jeff. I want a side by side so bad. So if anybody just wants to donate one to me one day, I would not be opposed to you sending me a side by side. I will give you my address. That is awesome. That is awesome. I like your house. There's Leslie's flower bed. I hope you don't have some other stuff growing, Leslie. Doxing you on your picture. Look at that. She has her hose all neatly wrapped up. What's back here? Got an old shed, an old wood pile. House. I bet this is Leslie's pickup truck. Let me not put so much on the license plate. I don't want to dox her. I like that, Leslie. Herbs. Let me see if I can find the other ones. You just sent it to me. Okay, I see them now. Let me go ahead and pull these up. I didn't think you were, Leslie. I didn't think you were. I didn't know if weed growing in Idaho is legal or not. Look at that big ass mountain right there. Jesus. See, I'm a Texas boy, so I'm not used to seeing stuff like that. Not in the backyard, not down the street. I like the stuff you got there, Leslie. Got your wind chimes with your tractor. I like that. Got the more of your garden showing there. Got your little bird cage. Look how neat Leslie has her yard. Billy and Leslie have their yard neatly trimmed, cut. There's the side of her house. Has some cool stuff on the walls. I like that owl. I like that owl. Do you have a basement? That looks like a basement window right there. No, nothing is legal in Idaho. I had a 3-wheeler when I was a kid. Everyone got hurt that rode it. See, that's what I'm kind of worried about. You know, when you get older, you think, well, I'm going to ride a 3-wheeler. I'm going to ride this, whatever. I'm just scared of, either getting. I hurt myself on a freaking scooter. What would I do to myself on a 3-wheeler? You know what I mean? See, Leslie has a lot of plants. A lot of plants growing right here. Right here. You must have a green thumb. I don't. I do not have a green thumb. And I could not tell you what any of these plants are. Oh, Leslie, I like that. That's an owl. So you like owls? And look at these little dogs right here. That's cool. That is too cool. Look at those dogs in that little wagon. That little wheelbarrow. Yeah, that's awesome. I could chill on that porch. I really could. Sit there and chill and drink some sweet tea, listening to the birds with the mountain in the background. Since y'all have those big ass mountains, Do y'all ever wake up with wild animals in the front yard? Mountain lions, foxes, anything like that, PKC? Leslie, do y'all ever wake up um, with any wild animals, deer, raccoons? See, we have some raccoons here that my parents have a big ass raccoon that comes and eats the cat food. That's a nice four-wheeler right there. And I take it this is Billy's tools over here. Man, this could be my parents' garage right here. My dad has a lot of propane tanks also. And the ladders and everything else. Look at that edger right there. I'm not going to show a lot of this, Leslie, because I don't want you to get robbed. But looks like Billy's working on that truck right there. Just got it all tore up. You said he's a handyman, so I bet he get this thing running. Uh-oh. There's the Bill man right there, I guess. Got his ladders hung up just like my dad does. Leslie, do you spend a lot of time in this hammock? I would be in that thing daily. We have deer, bears, foxes, raccoons, and possums. Wolves. Wow. Raccoons are crazy, man. They'll sit there and they'll wash their hands before they eat. You live on top of a big mountain. Okay. Leslie, I love that hammock. And those trees look strong enough that thing is not going anywhere. Here it's all dusty. We don't have grass like this. We don't here in Texas, not where I live. I mean, it's starting to look like this a little bit, but it won't be no time before it dies. I like this plant right here. That's pretty cool. I didn't know Billy had a long beard like that. That's pretty cool. He's heading to do something. You caught him off guard. I bet he's like, damn it, don't take my picture, woman. There's your she shed. That's pretty nice, Leslie. I like that. This is where the well that they dug that well with the pump and stuff right here. That's pretty cool. Do you hear that dog? That dog is just on fire. He hears me and he's like, you know what? I'm going to bark. I don't care what you say. I've never been to Idaho. I have some friends that live up there. I have a friend that lives up there. Her and her husband moved up there. There's Billy again. Looks like you are always busy on your land. Always doing stuff. There's some fencing stuff going on. Looks like you're going to repair the fence. See, I could take my gun and shoot it out back there. Do they care if you shoot weapons and stuff on your land in Idaho, or do you have to have a permit? I like that, Leslie. It's very nice. Thank you for sending those to me. You definitely have a green thumb for sure. Nice and green there. Nothing like calling a place home. Really isn't. Damn it. I just doxed everybody, didn't I? Sorry about that. Well, I'm sure that y'all haven't not seen that before, right? Walt says we have a hammock that had a safety recall. on it 4 years ago. We never use it, but we put it out every year and it looks nice. Water problems. I'm sure my boys had a moped accident when they were 8 and 4. It was a little bike, but older son broke his arm, got a scratch. Younger one had road rash all over. Damn. Sounds painful. Not with them houses there. You ain't 12. I'll go up on that mountain, Texas, and shoot it off the mountain. Isn't there an Air Force base? We're here. That mountain is huge. That mountain is huge. I just talked to Daniel from Drunk Turkey, and I think we're going to have another show together. Maybe next week sometime. But I really appreciate you guys spending the evening with me. I know that you could be multitudes of other places, but I appreciate you deciding to spend the evening with 12 Gauge and the lovely subs that we have here. And the conversation that we started off with, it was not the easiest, but we lightened it up toward the end. I'm happy to do that. And you know what? I'm still craving ice cream. I'm fighting it with everything I am. I am not going to go get ice cream. I'm not going to get ice cream. I'm not. But you know what's wrong with that? Is I'll lay in bed all night long, tossing and turning, because I didn't get ice cream. That's kind of stuff that happens upstairs. You're out watering the garden. Alrighty. How's that cat been treating you, PKC? Has it been behaving itself? I'm ice creamed out already today. Apples for me tonight, 12. I need to eat some apples too. No ice cream. Just go to McDonald's and order only the cone and not the ice cream. That's probably what they'd give me, Jeff, because, most of the time those ice cream machines are not up and running. Just got some ice cream. I'm thinking about it. Oh, just get some ice cream. I'm thinking about it. It's 9:45 here, so you are 2 hours behind. So it's still daylight over there. No wonder you're out watering. Get you a cheeseburger cone. Nah, I'm good. I think I'm going to do 100 push-ups and sit-ups. There you go. There you go. Get it. Get her done. Get her done. If it doesn't help to walk around the yard or whatever y'all do, every little thing helps. Just to stay in motion, because I don't know about you guys, but it seems like every day I wake up to a new pain somewhere around my body, and I'm like, well, how did that start hurting? You know what I mean? I don't know about you guys, but that's really aggravating to get older. It just got dark here. I love summertime. Me too. I may never can tell when it'll hit me. You got to stay active, especially walking, because your knees are usually the first thing to go. At least that's what I've been told. They wear out the quickest, the fastest. So if you can walk pretty well, stay mobile, stay stretching a little bit, and, keep yourself moving around. Heart attack slowed me down a little bit. Well, I didn't know you had a heart attack. I bet it slowed me down too, Texas. I'm glad you're still with us, bro. Glad you're still with us. Keep moving. You're right. I hate that because, the older you get, you don't want to do shit. You're like, I'll do it here in a little bit. A little bit never comes. You know what I mean? I think I'm a year older than you, 12. Had both knees replaced. Dang. I'm team stretch. Best thing for you. 15 minutes a day. Super easy. And the Widowmaker too. Wow. We're glad you're here, brother. Glad you're here. When was that? Yeah, those knees are the first thing to get replaced. I hear my mom, but she's older. She had hers replaced probably 5 years ago. So she was in her late 70s when she had both of hers done. But she went through it with like a trooper, man. She had both of them done, fell down, re-injured one, had it repaired, and she walks a little not stiff, but she's still going. She gets out in the yard and walks every day. 3 or 4 years ago. Wow. So we didn't even know you then, Texas. We're glad to, that you're around with us. It's all about maintenance. You're right. I'd have to look on the cord. I have to carry my wallet. Yeah, you got to carry those things. JB, I didn't know we were close in age. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, but I wake up every day and I'm like, damn, how did I hurt? Like my elbow's hurting right now. I'm like, that's from doing those overhead, you know, barbells, that's from that. But you know what? It shouldn't be hurting. It shouldn't mine's right around the corner. In September I'll be 54 myself. I can't believe I'm saying that, but even the good age, even the good people age. Some age like fine wine and some age like a banana, you know. Depends on how you take care of yourself. I'm 49, I'm still rocking a torn ACL for 31 years. Damn. I had that cartilage cushioning that Bruce Jenner used to be a spokesperson for. Okay. It's hereditary on my dad's side. He died when I was 10. I'm sorry to hear that. My mom's dad had the same thing happen. Shoulders are shot from years of weightlifting. Gotcha. That's why I try not to lift a lot of weights because my brain tells me I can, but my body's like, hey, bro, you need to chill out. I'm 47 times around the sun. There was a song by Joe Diffie, I think, that said Third Rock from the Sun. Y'all remember that song? That's what I thought of when you when I read that out loud. Third Rock from the Sun. I'm older than all of you. I was told in 2018 that I wouldn't walk again. I walk in my house in short distance, only use my wheels when necessary. I used to run 5 miles a day. I miss it. Wow, that's amazing. I've never ran 5 miles other than, early on in my life when I played football. That's the most running I ever did. After that, well, I take that back. I got up to probably 2 miles a night on the track, but that wasn't any special speed at all. It was just for, short bursts because I was training for semi pro and, dropping weight and stuff. Yeah, I bet. I've never been a long distance runner. My brother's the runner, not me. Not me. Yeah, walking just the same, and sometimes it's better for you. As long as you keep a steady pace, you're still burning. Even sitting in this chair, wiggling around like I do, my body's like, okay, we're burning some fat because you're starting to sweat. It's these lights. I feel like a rotisserie chicken. I feel like I should be turning every couple of minutes. Like make sure every area of me is cooked thoroughly. You know what I mean? Walking or bicycle riding. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know what I might do for you guys tomorrow? I might go out to one of these old prisons that has closed down around here, and I might get some footage. That way we can, you can see it and we can talk about it. And maybe Texas will be around and he can, opine on some of it as well. There's an old prison that that you can get right up to the fence, and you can see stuff on the yard. You can see the old buildings. You can see all this stuff. I'll go out there and get some footage, and then I'll spark up the camera, and we can talk about it. Stint was placed 12/18/2019. I looked, it probably clogged by now. Come on, Texas. Just set it and forget it. LOL. Yeah. You know, Texas, I saw something the other day and I sent it to my dad because my dad has has blockage in his heart right now. And they have this new thing that is they put it in your vein and it has like a little end to a drill bit and it literally goes through your vein and cleans it out and takes all the blockage, the plaque and everything, and it sucks it up like a vacuum cleaner so it doesn't get distributed to the rest of your body. So if anybody's having heart issues, you might look that up, see if that's legit because it looked like it worked. You know what I mean? My dad used to say the golden years were bullshit. Keep it healthy, Texas. I've had my time. I'm not scared of the Grim Reaper. Well, we want you around for a little while longer, Texas. We enjoy you. One thing that I'm noticing, I don't know if you guys during the pandemic y'all got that virus at all, but I've had it 2 times, maybe more than that. And one thing that I'm noticing, and I'm going to share this with you guys in case any of you, people are going to say it's old age, you start forgetting stuff. Nah, my mind has always been sharp. And I'm noticing a lot lately that I'm forgetting little things. Like I'll forget to take a medication. I'll forget to whether I did. Like I can get to my job, automatically lock the door, shut the door. By the time I get to the front of the truck, I'm panicking whether I locked the truck or not. And that's like seconds. That has never happened to me. And I click it, just to make sure. By the time I get in the building, I'm clicking it again. And I'm like, is that anxiety or is that forgetting? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if any of y'all had that happen to y'all, but a leprechaun rapper that had it 12 times. Damn. You guys have MD Anderson. Yeah, we do. That's a great hospital. I agree with that, 12. Yeah, we do have that in Houston and some other satellite locations. Never had one shot, but they're saying they were bad for you. Well, I took the lesser one, but I feel that it pretty messed me up in some ways. Because even though I'm talking on here sometimes or I'm reading, I feel myself not being totally myself. And it messes with me because um, nobody knows themselves better than themselves. And I know that's a oxymoron, but you don't know um, you don't know yourself better than you know yourself. And like sometimes I'll go into the doctor and he's like, "Well, what's going on?" Well, I'll tell him. He's like, "Are you sure?" Like, "Doc, you know what? I live with myself 24/7. I know how I normally function, but there's all these tests that have been ran and nothing's wrong. So I don't know. We're just old fart 12 gauge. That might be it. That might be it. And I'm glad you never caught it, JB. It wasn't really as bad as they said, but I had a couple family members and friends that passed away from it. So I guess, it's the luck of the draw. Your mind is on other things. If you eventually remember the thing, it's not Alzheimer's. Well, thank you for that. Thank you, because I've been worried about that. It's like, what the hell? Like the other day, I woke up and I was like, damn, I'm late for work. The sun was shining through the skylight and stuff, and I was like, I was freaking out, didn't know what day it was, didn't know where I was at, and I do that, and it tripped me out. It tripped me out. Well, thank you for that, JB. Yeah, my aunt died on April. She caught the virus on April 1st, and she died on the 6th. But she had, kidney issues and stuff like that. So she was. It was way, it was the first wave of the virus, and nobody knew how to treat it. Nobody knew what to do. And, it's not about losing your keys, it's putting your keys in the freezer. Gotcha. The rest is normal aging and being overstimulated. Well, thank you. Thank y'all for that. I'll hang on to that. I'll hang on to that because, my memory has always been 100%. Like, I could remember stuff from years ago, and it's mostly the short term stuff. But it might be that it's on other stuff. You're probably right. But I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the chat. I enjoy it. So tomorrow, hopefully, I'll drive around that prison or walk around it, get some footage, and then go live tomorrow evening, have something to do, and get on with you guys. And we can talk about the prison lifestyle, because it is part of true crime, you know? Which brings me to my favorite poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm a schizophrenic and so am I. That's hilarious. And we're not making fun of schizophrenic. So if anybody sees that and they have schizophrenia, we're not making fun of people, okay? We're just, I don't know. People are too soft. People are too soft these days. They get easily triggered. Well, I've reached that time. Like I said, I've really enjoyed you guys being here and spending the evening with me and each other. Um, Make sure that you have the notification set up because I can go live at any time around the clock, including during the mid mornings. I've been live at 2, 3 in the morning before. Just make sure you have your notifications set. And if you're not getting notifications, unsubscribe and then resubscribe because I think that helps with that as well. And any of you that are watching that have been trying to chat and nobody chats with you back, you might unsubscribe and resubscribe because you could have been blocked when the block thing was working on the YouTube. I know I've only blocked like 3 people the whole time I've had my channel, and I unblocked one of them. The other 2 are still blocked. But, yeah, I'm very spontaneous. So, yeah, we should bring ice cream and have an ice cream live. Rang that bell. Have a good night, everyone. You too, and thank you so much for becoming a member. You guys, I think I'm going to call it. Y'all be safe out there. Make sure that you take care of yourself the best you know how. And if you need anything from any of us, don't feel shy to reach out. I mean, monetarily, it's not a good thing to ever ask. I wish that I could help everybody who monetarily needs it. But as far as advice, a shoulder to cry on, anything like that, if you're ever in a live and you are having a hard time, we're here for you. We're here for you. And that's what I've always tried to maintain the chat as being an open area for anybody that might need it. You guys have a wonderful night. Maestro, cue that music.